Okay, my name's Wayne McCullough. I'm former world boxing champion, 92 Olympic silver medalist. And what else do you want to know?
Let's start from the very start. How did you start in boxing?
I started boxing when I was about 7 years old, back in Belfast, Northern Ireland. I just, like everybody else, played football in the street. You know, I played football very through primary school, secondary school in the team. And I was good at it, but wasn't good enough to pursue it as a career. But boxing, I had my first fight when I was 8 years old. By the time I was 12, I had over 100 fights. It became more natural to me, and by the time I was 15, I told my friends that I was going to be a world champion. So that was a little dream back then. But if you do the hard work, it pays off. And so I just pursued boxing from then.
And then you said you had over 100 fights by sort of 10 years old, but you had a stellar amateur career, even boxing in the Olympic finals for Great Britain. How was the feeling of representing Great Britain in the Olympics and then even getting into the finals?
You mean Ireland?
Oh, sorry, yeah, my bad.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Even coming from Northern Ireland, is part of the United Kingdom, so that's fine. But I fought in two Olympics. Actually, I fought in Seoul, Korea, as I was 17, turned 18, and I won the nationals that year. I knocked out the national champion. He was in his 20s, and then I knocked out a Cuban. Then I knocked out a Turagati. He's a legend. Late out Turagati. He's dead now, and I had a good. I was knocking everybody out, and I weighed 7.5 stone, and I was getting all these knockout wins. So I went to the Olympics in '88, carried the Irish flag in the opening ceremony, and I didn't get a medal that year. I won like 2 fights, and that was it. Didn't medal, but '92 is when I get the. In between that, I actually went to the Commonwealth Games and won a gold medal for Northern Ireland. And then in '92 was Barcelona for the Olympics, where I got the medal, competing in the final by Joel Casimir, who went on to become a 2-time world champion boxer as well. So there's no shame in that.
And then you said you've fought Taragati, and that was on to my next question. Obviously, based on BoxRec, I think it was his debut and only your sort of 5th or 6th fight, but based on BoxRec, but I don't know. Maybe there might be some.
BoxRec's funny. BoxRec doesn't record all your fights. Excuse me. Record some of the major fights because I had over 300 fights.
Yeah,
and there's only like 50 or something on there. You know, and even my Olympic fights from '88 are not even on there. So there's Getty he was 16 years old. I was 17, and it was young Ireland. It was Ireland versus Canada. He's from Canada originally, and we fought each other. I stopped him in the first round. They threw in the towel, gave him 2 standing counts, and then the towel came in, which meant he was fighting 2 days later. If I'd knocked him out, he couldn't have fought. 2 days later, you're out for 30 days. But when you throw in a towel, you're allowed to fight. And I said to him at the fight, "Do you want to change tops?" And he said, "If you come to my fight in 2 days in Belfast, we'll do it." So I actually did that. We changed tops, which is what you did back in the amateurs. And he won by knockout the 2 days later because he could punch. He's great. Great pro fighter. Like, he's one of the best 3 fights in history against Mickey Ward. And I say he's dead now, of course. But I didn't even tell people I fought him. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. People say, "Oh, you fought a Turagati, you beat him." I'm like, yeah, what's the matter with that? I can't believe that. I'm like, well, it's the part of your amateur program. When you fight guys in the amateurs who went on to become champions, it's normal. I fought a lot of guys like that.
And then you said you obviously having quite a stellar amateur career, Olympics twice, Commonwealth Games even, and then various different ABA fights and finals. How did it feel going over from that stellar amateur career to a pro career? Was it quite seamless for you?
I say from when I was 11 years old, I won the boys clubs championships. Then at 14, I won the nationals juvenile, and from that point on, right through till I turned pro at 22, I won Irish championships right through nationals. And in fact, one year I won the Irish youth, Irish under 18, Irish junior, and Irish senior all within 9 months. And they were all stoppage wins. But it was just, I sparred with pros back then. Back in the when I was 16, 17, I sparred with world champions in Belfast. My brother was a pro, my brother Alan, and I used to go to the gym, the Barney Eastwood's gym in centre Belfast. He let me train there, and I sparred with Paul Higginson, world champion, Dave McCullough, world champion, Fidel Bassett was a world champion, and the experience I was given was priceless. And the amateur people who were the ones in charge didn't allow you to spar with pros, but what they didn't know didn't hurt them. No. And I gained so much experience by doing that, and so turning over to professional ranks was a lot easier for me because I had that sort of semi-pro style, and so it was a good. I'm glad I did that behind their back.
And then skipping forward a little bit, you won your first world championship going over to Japan. And how did you deal with the pressure of going away all the way over to Japan as an away fighter in that big of a match?
Well, I didn't know at the time that I was the first fighter from the UK or Ireland able to go to Japan and bring back a belt. I didn't know that, so I would maybe it was out of pressure. But with me, I had Eddie Fudge. The reason why I came to Las Vegas, a guy called Eddie Fudge, who trained Joe Frazier back in the day. You know, modern day, let's say he trained Riddick Bowe. When I came here, Riddick Bowe was heavyweight champion of the world. So when you have him in your corner and you do the right game plan before in training camp, you feel invincible. And going to Japan, Yushui Yakashiji was the guy's name. He was making the 5th defense of his WBC belt, and I wasn't supposed to win. The poster I have on the wall over here, there's a big picture of him, and there's a little picture of me in the corner. I wasn't supposed to win, and with Eddie in the corner, but you just thought you could knock down walls, and with the game plan we had, but we executed it really well. And I won a split decision, which was, you know, the Korean judge gave against me, which was ridiculous. The 2 American judges gave it to me by 4 or 5 points, which was 8 rounds to 4 at least I won. But my hand was raised and I became WBC world champion, Ireland's first WBC champion in the history of boxing. So that was good.
And you spoke about that relationship just partly with Eddie. How important do you reckon that relationship was throughout your whole career? Obviously, a relationship between a fighter and a trainer has to be rock solid and the trust has to be there. How did that sort of relationship progress throughout, and how did you think it helped you?
But you have to have that relationship with your coaches in some way. You know what I mean? As an amateur, my coach back in Albert Foundy was my amateur gym. Harry Robinson, who passed away last year, he was my amateur coach. You know, I won all the national championships with him. Got the 2 Olympics, Commonwealth Games, World Cup bronze medal, and then we had Nicholas Cruz Hernandez, who was a Cuban coach who worked the corner for the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games. With Thamens, Harry, he helped me along the way, of course. And then when I got to Nicholas, it was a different level. You know, Nicholas was a little different level from my amateur coach, and he started teaching me how to do this and do that. And I'm thinking, you know, if I'd had this earlier, you know what I mean, you get greedy. And then when I come to Eddie Fudge, you're going to the Premier League. You know, it was unbelievable. The stuff, when I came here, the stuff that I didn't know. And I'm standing there thinking, when he's teaching me, if I had him when I was started off, you know, I could have been even better. But as I say, he made me a world champion within 27 months. And without him there, it was just, you know, without him, I wouldn't have been a world champion. It's the truth, you know.
And then you came back to your hometown to defend the belt against Johnny Bradle. And how did it feel to come home as a champion? And was it sort of hard to focus necessarily on the fight because you've got obviously your hometown support and the whole event is now aimed towards you? You said you were the little fighter in Japan on the poster. Now you're the one on the big posters, and you're the big one on the posters. Was it hard to sort of focus on the task at hand of defending your belt?
Excuse me, mine was running a little bit of a cold. Yeah, the funny thing about the poster, when I went to Belfast, the posters were probably 6 foot tall, all over in the whole city, just of me. And I was thinking, wow. And the truth is, you know, the fight went to Japan because I wanted to fight the world championship in my hometown, but it was a big purse bid, and the Japanese were the champion, and they won the big purse bid. But I said I wanted to have my first defense in Belfast, where I was born, and my second defense in Dublin, where I fought most of my amateur career. And I did that. I lost money by doing it, but was about the fans. I wanted the fans to know that I would bring the belt home to them in North and South of Ireland, and I did that. And the Jenny Goodall fight, he didn't pick an easy opponent. He was 26-0, former world champion, and he was like 5'9", 8.5 stone guy. He was tall, and he did a lot of running. He ran, and I finally stopped him in the 8th round, which I was hoping to knock him out cold, because he actually disrespected me before the press conference. But he went on to become. He had one more loss after that. He went on to become another world champion and retired as a world champion. So he was a tough guy. And then my second defense was against again in Dublin, Jose Luis Bueno. He had more knockouts on his record than I had fights. It was my 19th fight, and we had a tough fight. I won that. And some guys win the championship and they have easy fights and they get found out pretty quickly. But I always fought the best. You know what I mean? I fought the best, and I gave my best, and it was all for the fans too.
Yeah, and then on that, you obviously defended your belt twice. As you said, once in Dublin, and then against Julio Cardona. How hard was it defending the champion? People say that it's one thing getting to the top of the hill, but then it's staying there is the hard part. How hard do you believe it was to defend the belts, and was there a loss of motivation necessarily after that Dublin fight, maybe?
Yeah, well, getting to the belt, there's a lot of stepping stones along the way. You have to fight. Yeah, I won the North American Championship, which puts you in the top 10 in the world. Then I had to fight the #1 contender to get a crack at the belt. So it was a process of getting to that belt. And Yakashiji was the target. And then when I beat him, I know I become the target. So everybody wants a piece of me, and that's why I fought the best, and I beat the best. And I say that the target, you become the target, and it's tough, but I kept training the same way, and I kept learning. Had I stopped and thought, oh, I'm a champion now, yes, it's easy. It's not easy, believe me. I know the guys below me now are trying to get a piece of me and want the belt. And say I never lost my belt. I vacated my belt. I moved up in the division. Never lost it, which is good. And it's tough staying at the top, but I knew which way it was. You had to train hard, and even harder when you became a champion.
And then you mentioned that the loss, or onto the loss against Daniel Zaragoza. How do you react to that loss, and how do you bounce back from your own mental side of things?
Well, that was tough because my first loss. Excuse me. He's a Hall of Famer legend, but I believe I won. It was a split decision, 2-1. Eddie Fudge, the day he died, I believe I won. It was ridiculous. The scorecards were terrible. I won the fight in one card. Even the referee of the fight, he actually passed away last year. He said, I won the fight. He's no investment in me, the other guy. You know what I mean? So something went wrong that night. I didn't know what it was. The judges were way off, and we got fight of the year, and I didn't get a rematch. Something went down. I don't know what it was, but they said it was a hell of a fighter. We've met since then. He's a great man, but it's not his problem. It's the judges, and I believe I won that fight. But it sets you back mentally. It does set you back. Excuse me. Was it chugging some water? I'm choking here. No, it sets you back a lot. So this, and I set it for like 18 months after that, and I found out my promoter was screwing me out of money, and my manager at the time, and he actually screwed me out of over $1 million. So, but that was stuff I found out when I had my first loss. You know what I mean? Excuse me. My stagehand. Yeah, so it's amazing how I get the loss, and then I find out the things that happened to me. And it was tough. I was expecting a rematch right away. Never got it. Never even talked about it. So I set it for like 18 months, came back with 2 fights. And then 2 fights I won, and then the next fight was against Nassim Hamed.
And then you say that obviously your manager screwed you over $1 million dollars would have been, but even how hard is it to focus on fighting, especially after that? You not only going through your first loss, as a pro, and then now you go from that to then all of this downfall from throughout people that you think you're quite close with, or at least have trust in. How do you go from that then back into fighting? How's your mindset change?
Well, it was 96. That was my second defense. And during that fight, after that fight is when this was starting to go, you know what I mean? And I was champion of the world. I had my home, had cars, and I knew some was being sort of like screwed over a little bit. So mentally, I was in deep. And the truth is, it was mental stuff like that doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? It happens over a process of could be months, could be a year. And I say I defended my belt. I was probably going through it then, but after that, I went into it deeper. And then I got to the point where I was planning things in my head, and nobody knew. I never told my wife. And then I was getting deeper into depression, but not showing it. I had the front, you know what I mean? I was working out every day, not showing anything. And the people look at you and say you're a champion of the world, you're this, you're that. And I think you got this big, I'm happy every day. And then I got to the point where I planned it out where I was going to do it. And it gets to a point when you're not scared to do it. When you're not scared to do it, to kill yourself, it becomes scary because the plan's been done. I even had the place I was going to do it. It was in my home, and how I was going to do it with 2 jump ropes. So they're made with leather jump ropes. So they're going to hold a small man like me. But I made sure with 2 leather jump ropes. Just that's how deep in was in my head. There was one rope might have broken with it. One rope would kill me easily, but I just thought, what if it doesn't? And I planned it out where my wife goes to bed at night. She sleeps like Big Ben couldn't wake her up. You know what I mean? But so I waited like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I planned there was like a beam in our living room, and I planned to put the rope over that and had the noose. And that night I waited. She was deep in the sleep, 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, 3. And I had a rope in my hand, and who walks out? My wife. And I'm not joking. When I say Big Ben couldn't wake her up. But I'm thankful, you know what I mean? Because I was gone that night. I was gone. I was doing it. I wasn't like I was crying for help. Nobody even knew. And I got to that point where I was so deep into it that I was going to do it. And that's the fear is you're doing it, but you're going to do it. It's not like you're not going to do it. You're going to do it. You just come through with it. And if I'm standing with a rope in my hand and she wakes up and I was shocked and she was shocked, we broke down in tears. And then of course we discussed things. I got help. And from that day forward, I've helped other people since then because they didn't realize I went through it. But I still get help. Still, even today, I take homeopathic medication. I've been taking that since '96, since I seen a doctor up in Denver, and it's a day-to-day battle. I don't think you really ever get over it, but when you talk about it, it's the best thing to do. If you don't talk about it, you're gone. You have to talk about it, and some people, it's like back home. Oh, they talk about, oh, you're just being stupid. That the usual. They're the wrong ones, because there's certain people will listen to you and they'll help you. And with me helping other people now, I'm so glad I can do that, because they probably looked at me thinking you've got everything, you didn't get depressed. But a lot of celebrities do get depressed. And you have to talk. And anybody who's deep into depression, talk to somebody. Please talk to somebody, because when you get to that point, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And I believe my wife was like a God sent her down. I have good faith in God, believe me. And there's a reason for it. My daughter was born in '98. She was born 2 years after that, so I wouldn't even have seen her. You know what I mean? So when you think of things like that, you're like, well, I'm thankful I'm here.
Yeah, and I believe that it was all a plan in place of some sort for your wife to walk in for that. As you said, she sleeps like a deep sleeper as much as you can. And then for that one night for her to wake up, it was almost like she knew something without knowing anything. And then
Yeah,
on top of that, but then for you to then help people, I think it wasn't necessarily all an accident. It for you to then go on and help people as much as you can.
yeah. I say I've got good faith in God in my boxing in the boxing ring. It's great to have good faith in God. Believe me,
Mm.
in fights, but she was sent out there. I believe that. Other people may not believe it, but I believe that because I'm not joking. When I say about Big Ben, I'm not joking. You could have stood with a big gong in her ear and she wouldn't wake up. But she woke up that night, and why? I get questioned why. I right away I knew the reason why, and so it's to keep me alive, of course, and I can help other people too, and I say I have, and some people may not believe in God, it's fine, but I do, and I say in the boxing ring, it was great to have that faith. You know, a lot of great fighters have had that faith, you know, and it helps.
And then you say you've helped um, people throughout. And what sort of ways have you tried to help through other people and help other people through the same issues that you had?
There's a guy in California right now. Every couple of months, I would just text him to say, "How you doing?" And he was like, "I'm doing great," or "Bad week." You know what I mean? So it's little things like that, little text from the guy in Belfast that I helped as well, and I would text him, and then for about a couple of weeks he had disappeared. So I kept texting. Then he finally got back and said, "Oh, I've just been through stuff." So if I'm bugging them, they're seeing the text, they know that somebody actually does care about them. And just a little text is going to make them think, oh, they may not text you back, but they know that there's somebody here that actually has been through the same thing they're going through. And on social media as well, I've helped a few people too. So there's a lot of people I can help, and there's a lot of people who are frightened to open their mouth and talk about it because they feel like they're embarrassed. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm a world champion. Am I embarrassed? No, I wasn't embarrassed because when I opened my mouth, I realized how many people are going through the same thing, and they were frightened to open their mouth. And it's about talking. You have to talk, and it's better to talk. Otherwise, if you don't talk, you're probably going to end your life. You know what I mean?
And you said that you had the conversation with your wife on that night, and I imagine you probably spoke to her throughout the past however many years since. How important it is to have that relationship in necessarily at the time and then even now?
Because the first thing she said to me was, "Why did you not tell me?" Because I kept it all bottled in here. Because I thought it was normal, sort of get through depression here, and then I thought I didn't. When you go through the start of depression, you're not thinking about killing yourself. You're just depressed. You're just like sad. But I trained every day, and I was still getting ready for fights. But you're inside your mind. You're gone. But the front, you have that front. Oh, I'm great. I'm great. When you're really not. And I was sort of didn't want to talk to anybody because I just thought they want to think you're stupider than them. That's just the way I was thinking. Your mind plays tricks on you too. But truthfully, I say there's certain people out there will talk to you and say, "I'm here for you." I say there'll be a certain few people will just like wise up. It's like, but they're the wrong people to be around. But you'll have good friends or family members that will say, "No, talk to me. I'm here for you no matter what." And you get the help, and I got help. She got me the help, and I'm still here. I was 96, and to say I don't never not stop thinking about it. You're not thinking about it all the time, but just a certain days you go through and she'll be like, "How you feeling?" I say, "Well, not great." So when I say that to her, she knows that I'm going through a little bit of depression, but I don't want to go back to that place again. It's dark. It's a dark place where I was doing it, and it wasn't. I say it's not like I wasn't going to do it. I was doing it. It was planned. I was frightened that I was going to do it because you're confident. You're so scared to do it. You're like, this is easy. It's so easy to do, and that's where the point where I got to.
And then just to carry on down that, do you think that people like Tyson Fury and other people like him that have sort of necessarily made it a bit more less of a stigma, talking about it, and people like you obviously speaking out, as people will look at you, Fury, a few others, as champions, as world champions at one of the most sort of masculine sports in the world in boxing, and now think that speaking about your mental health and the issues that you have is not necessarily a non-masculine thing to do. People would have thought that that's more of a bad thing to do. But do you think, how important do you think the role models like you that have spoken out about it are?
The truth is, Tyson Fury, Ricky Hatton, they went through it, and modern day, I call them the modern day guys because Ricky just retired like that, like 6 or 7 years ago. There's more social media, there's more out there about it, and when them guys say they went through it, it's so big for social media around the world for people to grasp onto and say, I'm going through it, I'm going through it, I'm going through it. You know what I mean? So when I was going through it in '96, I think the cell phones just came out. Social media, was no social media, believe me, so it didn't really go around that much, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until I brought my book out in 2005 that people seen it in my book, and they're like, you went through, you want to kill yourself? I'm like, yeah. Because back then you talk about it, but nobody really, like, it never really got out there because, let's say, it was just, there was no social media or anything. But today, if you can help, like Fury and Hatton, you know, they can help people a lot. And it's a daily battle. And when people see guys like them, let's say the modern day guys like them, and then they even like me as well, then they think it can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're unemployed, it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, it can still happen to anybody. And when they see guys like that, they know it can happen to anybody, you know what I mean? So
and then one final one from me is, I always end my interviews like this. What's one piece or a few pieces of advice you'd give someone that wants to be in your position in general?
the first thing, if you're going through depression at all, just talk. Just you've got a mouth open, and somebody will listen to you. There might be the certain ones that, as I said, that won't. They'll call you this, oh, you're just being dumb. But there will be people who'll listen to you. And even on here, if anybody sees this, you know, anybody can get my number and contact me. It's so easy, or Instagram or whatever. Everything's so easy and accessible today, and I'll help anybody, because it's scary. It's a scary place to be, and you're never really cured. You know what I mean? It's mentally there for the rest of your life, but it can be monitored and kept to that level where you can talk about it. You're safe. You get a little bit more depression. Talk about it. You're safe, and that's why today it's important just to open your mouth. Open your mouth up. If you feel like you're just getting really down in the dumps, and you could be anybody. Just be. I say you could be unemployed. Just have 2 or 3 friends. That's it, and that want to talk about it. But talk about it. Somebody will listen to you, and that's the biggest. That's one of the biggest cures. If you talk about it, you know you're not gonna do it, because you'll get that person who will help you.
It's a strong, powerful message to a lot of people that could be struggling and don't really know what to do or where to go at this.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you speaking so openly about all of your troubles and your problems in the past. And I appreciate you giving that message out to people.
No, thank you, and I hope you get an A+.
Well, I mean, I've got the story for it. It's just whether I can put it into the right words to be able to portray.
Yeah, no,
emotion
you're
with me. But
a smart guy, so you'll get it done.
let's hope so.
And how do you know Kieran?
Say again, sorry.
How do you know Kieran?
I same way I've spoken to you. I
Alright.
literally was emailing off to 100, well, I'd say 100+ people now for my major project. And I spoke to Kieran and then asked him was about, because I was struggling with interviews in general. Trying
Well,
to
did many people reply to you? Not really, no.
I've had I sent probably about 200 to 300 emails, maybe 20 to 30 back. A majority of them you get maybe, I think, 20, probably about 20 interviews, and then the other 10 are like you get 3/4 of the way to emailing back and forth and speaking back and
It
forth,
stops.
and then it
Right.
stops because they don't set a date, or you try and set a date and then you
Yeah.
just reply. So it was a little bit more difficult. Then I was spoke to Kieran about that, and he said, "Look, if you haven't tell me what you want and who you want," and I said, "Just anyone, to be honest, anyone that would give a good story or has got a story to tell. I'm happy to interview them and speak to them. At the more, the better." And he gave me a list of names, and your name popped up as one of them, and I was straight on that.
No, Kieran's a good man.
Yeah, yeah. He, it was the nicest thing anyone could give me, because I wouldn't have been able to get into access with you. There's a few other people that I've spoken to that I wouldn't have been ever gotten access to, and to be able to hear a story like yours.
Good. No, I'm glad that you get Kieran. So, you know what I mean? But I'm here anytime you get my number now. So
Yeah.
anytime, thing at all.
Yeah. Are you still into boxing? Do you watch boxing much?
Yeah, I go to my gym. I've got a gym out here on my ring and stuff.
Okay.
And I train my fighters here. That's why they're coming at 11:30.
Are you gonna
I
watch?
train amateur pros here. I've got a full gym. I've got a ring and everything out there.
Oh,
I've got a garage about 50 feet by 20 feet long. So I have a ring, 3 heavy bags, bathroom, speed bag, everything in it.
if I'm in Vegas or ever get the opportunity to be,
you got to come up here and see the gym. And I just say my wife always puts me in front of these. She showed me off.
I'll definitely give you a message.
So my Commonwealth medals there, my Olympic medals there as well. So it's a whole, like, people love coming in to see it's like a museum in here. All the pictures on the wall, gloves over here and stuff like that. This is my man cave.
Not too bad of a trophy room to show with the Olympic.
No, I think it's good to show the next generation coming through. You know what I mean? When I start training young kids, when they see what you've done, then they think, I can do this too. You know what I mean? But you got to put the hard work in.
Yeah. I'll definitely listen to you more seeing a WBC green belt behind you rather than not seeing anything.
Well, that's what I mean. The WBC, I'm still Ireland's only male to win a WBC belt in the history of boxing, and Katie Taylor has won the women's. And I seen that belt when Muhammad Ali wore it back in the 70s. You know what I mean? He was one green gold belt, and I said earlier on there, I told my friends I'd be world champion. I wanted to not disrespect other belts, but I wanted that belt. I wanted the green and gold belt, and I got it. So when you set your dreams for something, you can do it.
And you gonna watch the Joshua Ngannou card on the weekend, or?
It's this week, I think. It's a type of fight that, just like when Tyson Fury fought Ngannou. Ngannou's a big, scary man. You know what I mean? He's an MMA fighter, but he can crack. And when he hit Fury in that fight, Fury was like, oh. Instead of Fury should have just went out and went bam, 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 bang, got him out of there. But he was moving around, bam, bam, bam. You got to keep your hands up. You have to have defense. And Fury's been down. I think he said he's been down about 9 or 10 times in his career. He lacks defense. Eddie Fudge taught me defense. I never touched a canvas in my whole career. Amateur pro, never even got wobbled. And it's about learning how to catch his shots. And Fury doesn't do that. I would love to have Fury here and just teach him the method of trying to catch a shot. Instead of catching it with your chin, catch it with your hand and block it. But Joshua's got a chin of paper. And then Ngannou hits him, it could be good night. But if Joshua's smart, he walks straight out and gives it to him, because he can crack too. And if he walks straight out and gives it to him, I think Joshua can get the fight over. But if he leaves it a little bit longer and gets clipped, it's over.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see, because they both are knockout specialists, and they're each their own sports. And if either
Yeah.
of them punch and clean, it could be good night. So I think there's as much as people say you should be fighting a boxer and another champion, which I agree with. I still have a very much of an interest in seeing.
Well, I have an interest too. It's like the Fury fight. It's disaster for boxing if you lose. It's disaster because then everybody thinks from MMA they can step over when they can't.
No.
You know, there's been boxers that went over to MMA, and a successful Ray Mercer was Olympic gold champion in '88. And he was a WBO heavyweight champion of the world. He went over and fought Tim Sylvia, who was a former UFC heavyweight champ, and knocked him out in the first round. But that's a boxer's chance. They have that one shot against MMA, one punch. You know, James Toney's went to MMA, and Randy Couture tapped him out and no problems in the first round of them. So it just depends. But if one punch can end it in boxing, and it's disaster for boxing if Ngannou wins.
Yeah, I think
Fury's fight was controversial. A lot of people thought he lost, some thought he won, but it shouldn't have been close. It should have been just a landslide. It's like if Fury goes to MMA against Ngannou goes in, bump, locks him up, chokes him over. That's the way it should be. Your sport, my sport, respect both sports. They're both fights. I love both, but they're different sports. We focus on this. They focus on about 4 different disciplines. And if Ngannou hits Joshua this weekend, he's fighting the right guy. The guy who hasn't got a chin. You know, that's a problem. Fury has a chin, at least a chin. He can get back up again. But Joshua gets hit, he's gone. Andy Ruiz, example of that. A short, chubby guy, boom, knocks him out. No, so it's disaster. But Ngannou, he's doing boxing training over and over and over. That's all he's doing now the last year. But he's still, to me, still amateurish. No, he's still like, you know what I mean? But we'll see. But I got to run here. I always talk too much, so. But I'm here for you anytime. You got my number, so
yeah.
Let me know if that goes for you too, okay?
Yeah, I will do. But yeah,
hopefully you get that big pass.
Let's hope so.
Okay.
But yeah, as I said, I appreciate you speaking so openly to me, and I appreciate your time in general. I know that.
No problem. No problem at all.
You have to sit here and come give me the interview, but I really do appreciate that you've given me the time.
No problem. Thanks. All the best anyway. Thank you.